Imagine waking up tomorrow in a world with no smartphones, no clocks, no watches, and no alarm sounds waiting to pull you out of sleep. There are no schedules pinned to a wall, no meetings at 8 in the morning, and no glowing screen telling you exactly what time it is. Yet somehow, you still need to wake up at the right moment if you want to find food, travel safely, and keep up with the rest of your group. This was the reality for ancient humans who lived for hundreds of thousands of years before the invention of mechanical clocks. At first, this seems like a serious problem, because modern life has trained us to depend heavily on alarms to start each day. Many people worry they would sleep through important events if their alarm clock suddenly disappeared. But ancient humans managed to survive, hunt, gather food, raise children, and coordinate entire communities without a single alarm clock. Even more surprising, they may have awakened more naturally and more consistently than many modern people do today. How could that be possible? How could hunters wake up before a long journey without checking the time? How could groups leave camp at the right moment without someone ringing a bell or sounding an alarm? The answer begins with a remarkable fact about the human body. Long before humans invented clocks, evolution had already built one inside us. Every person carries a biological timing system that has been guiding sleep and wakefulness for millions of years. This internal clock evolved in a world where the rising and setting of the sun mattered far more than the numbers displayed on a screen. Ancient humans did not need to know whether it was 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. because nature itself provided the signals that mattered most. The changing light of dawn, the cooling air of night, and the rhythms of the surrounding environment all helped regulate daily life. In many ways, our ancestors were not living outside a schedule. They were living inside the largest and oldest schedule on Earth. To understand why ancient humans rarely needed alarm clocks, we first need to explore the powerful biological clock that still operates inside every human being today. The reason ancient humans did not need alarm clocks begins with a system that every modern person still carries inside their body. Scientists call it the circadian rhythm, a biological clock that regulates sleep, wakefulness, hormones, body temperature, and many other daily functions. This internal timing system evolved long before humans built cities, invented calendars, or measured time with machines. For most of human history, the sun was the primary signal that synchronized this biological clock. When daylight entered the eyes each morning, the brain received information that a new day had begun. As darkness arrived in the evening, different biological processes prepared the body for rest. One of the most important hormones involved in this process is melatonin, which increases as light levels fall and helps promote sleep. Another important hormone is cortisol, which gradually rises before waking and helps prepare the body for activity. What makes this system remarkable is that it often begins waking a person before they are fully conscious. The body can start increasing alertness, raising temperature, and preparing muscles for movement before the eyes even open. This is why many people occasionally wake up a few minutes before their alarm clock rings. Their biological clock was already anticipating the moment. For ancient humans, this system likely operated with far fewer disruptions than it does today. They were not exposed to bright screens late at night. They were not surrounded by artificial lighting that extended daylight far beyond sunset. Their sleep schedules were closely connected to natural cycles of light and darkness. As a result, their internal clocks may have remained more synchronized with the environment. Researchers studying traditional hunter-gatherer societies have found that people living without modern technology often maintain sleep patterns strongly influenced by natural light. They typically become sleepy several hours after sunset and wake close to sunrise. This does not mean every person woke at exactly the same moment every day. Human sleep has always varied somewhat between individuals. What matters is that the entire community remained synchronized with the broader rhythm of nature. The rising sun acted like a reliable signal that repeated every single day without fail. Unlike a modern alarm clock, it never needed batteries, never malfunctioned, and never had to be set before bed. In fact, the biological clock became so deeply connected to environmental cycles that many ancient humans probably woke naturally at roughly the same time each morning. Their bodies expected dawn because dawn had been arriving on schedule for millions of years. But the human body was not working alone. Ancient humans lived in an environment filled with natural signals that constantly reinforced those rhythms. And together, those signals turned the entire natural world into a giant alarm clock. Ancient humans did not wake up to a single sound like a modern alarm clock. Instead, they woke up within an environment that gradually signaled the arrival of a new day through countless changes happening all around them. Unlike a bedroom with blackout curtains and artificial climate control, the prehistoric world changed continuously between night and morning. Long before the sun appeared above the horizon, the environment itself began preparing for daylight. The first change was often the sky. Even before sunrise, darkness slowly gave way to a faint glow that increased minute by minute. Human eyes are extremely sensitive to these shifts in light, and the brain responds long before full daylight arrives. At the same time, temperature began changing. After reaching its coolest point shortly before dawn, the air gradually started warming as the sun approached the horizon. Animals responded as well. Birds often began singing before sunrise, creating what scientists call the dawn chorus. Different species became active at predictable times, filling the landscape with sounds that signaled the beginning of a new day. Insects changed their behavior. Nocturnal animals returned to shelter. Daytime animals emerged to search for food. The entire ecosystem shifted from one mode of activity to another. Ancient humans lived inside this transition every single morning. They did not need an electronic device to announce the day, because nature was already doing it. A person sleeping lightly could hear birds calling, animals moving, and other members of the group beginning to stir. Even if someone remained asleep, the growing activity around them made continued sleep increasingly difficult. This process was very different from the abrupt awakening caused by a modern alarm clock. An alarm often forces the brain from sleep into full alertness within seconds. Nature usually worked more gradually. Light increased slowly. Sounds accumulated gradually. Temperatures changed steadily. The body had time to adjust. For ancient humans, waking up was often a transition rather than an interruption. The environment itself acted as a reliable source of information. A hunter did not need to know the exact time because the landscape already indicated when it was appropriate to begin the day's activities. A gathering expedition did not start because a clock displayed a specific number. It started because the conditions that signaled morning had arrived. In this way, ancient humans were connected to a natural schedule far larger than themselves. The sun, weather, animals, and seasons all operated according to predictable patterns. Learning those patterns was one of the most valuable skills a person could possess. Yet nature was only part of the story. Because ancient humans rarely slept alone, they also had something that many modern people lack. They had an entire community helping them wake up. Ancient humans rarely slept alone, and that fact may have been one of the most effective alarm systems ever created. For most of human history, people slept near family members, children, elders, and other members of their community, rather than in separate private rooms. A typical sleeping area might contain many individuals resting within a short distance of one another. When one person woke up, their movements often affected everyone nearby. A hunter rising before dawn could create sounds that alerted others. A parent checking on a child could disturb nearby sleepers. Someone adding wood to a fire, or preparing for the day's activities, could gradually wake the rest of the group. Sleep is surprisingly contagious in both directions. Just as seeing someone yawn can make another person feel sleepy, waking activity can spread through a community. Researchers studying sleep patterns have found that people living together often become synchronized over time. Their daily routines, environmental conditions, and social interactions encourage similar sleeping and waking schedules. Ancient humans likely experienced this effect constantly. Children often woke early and created activity within the group. Adults preparing for hunting or gathering generated movement and noise. Elders who slept more lightly may have awakened before others and contributed to the gradual transition from sleep to wakefulness. The result was a community that functioned almost like a single organism. No single person needed to monitor the exact time because the group itself helped regulate daily behavior. If most people were awake and preparing to leave camp, sleeping through the activity would become increasingly difficult. This social alarm system offered advantages beyond simply helping people wake up. It also improved safety. If danger approached during the night, one alert individual could awaken many others within seconds. If weather conditions changed unexpectedly, information spread quickly through the group. The community created a network of awareness that no individual could achieve alone. Modern humans often sleep in isolated rooms behind closed doors, relying on electronic devices to wake them at specific times. Ancient humans relied on something much older and more reliable. They relied on one another. The combination of biological rhythms, environmental signals, and social synchronization created a powerful system that required no clocks at all. In many ways, the community itself functioned as a living alarm clock. Every morning, the actions of a few individuals gradually spread through the group, until everyone was awake and ready for the day ahead. This raises an interesting possibility. Perhaps the reason modern people depend so heavily on alarm clocks is not because humans are bad at waking up naturally. Perhaps it is because modern life has disconnected us from many of the signals that once made waking up effortless. The modern world has given humans countless conveniences, but it has also disrupted many of the natural systems that guided sleep for most of our evolutionary history. Ancient humans lived in environments where light, temperature, activity, and rest followed patterns that changed gradually and predictably. Modern humans often live in environments where those signals have become blurred or completely disconnected from nature. Artificial lighting is one of the biggest reasons. For hundreds of thousands of years, darkness signaled that it was time to rest. Today, many people remain surrounded by bright light long after sunset. Homes, offices, streetlights, televisions, and smartphones can all trick the brain into behaving as though daytime has not yet ended. This affects the production of melatonin and can delay the body's natural preparation for sleep. Blue light from screens appears to be particularly influential because it mimics wavelengths associated with daylight. As a result, many people stay awake later than their biological clocks would naturally prefer. Sleep schedules become inconsistent. The body receives mixed signals. The internal clock gradually loses synchronization with the natural environment. Modern work schedules can create additional challenges. Ancient humans generally adjusted their activities around daylight, weather, seasons, and local conditions. Modern people often adjust their sleep around work shifts, school schedules, transportation needs, and social commitments. In many cases, the body's preferred schedule and society's required schedule do not match. This mismatch creates a phenomenon sometimes called social jet lag. A person may be physically exhausted but still need to wake at a specific hour, regardless of where they are in their natural sleep cycle. That is where alarm clocks become necessary. The alarm is often not helping the body wake naturally. Instead, it is forcing the body to wake at a time determined by external obligations. This is why many people feel groggy when an alarm goes off. Researchers refer to this state as sleep inertia, a period during which the brain has not fully completed the transition from sleep to wakefulness. An alarm can interrupt a person in the middle of deep sleep and demand immediate alertness. Ancient humans certainly experienced tired mornings from time to time, but they were less likely to be awakened suddenly by an external device disconnected from their biological rhythms. Their waking process was often more gradual and more closely aligned with natural cycles. This does not mean life was easier. Ancient humans faced countless challenges that modern people do not. But when it came to waking up, they possessed advantages that many of us have lost. They slept in harmony with sunlight. They responded to environmental signals. They lived within communities that reinforced shared rhythms. And because of that, they rarely needed anything resembling an alarm clock. In fact, the very existence of alarm clocks may reveal something surprising about modern life itself. The invention of the alarm clock is often celebrated as a tool that helped humans become more productive and better organized. In many ways, that is true. Alarm clocks allow millions of people to coordinate schedules, arrive at work on time, and function within complex modern societies. But they also reveal something deeper about the way humans now live. For most of human history, waking up was guided primarily by biological rhythms, environmental signals, and social interactions. Today, it is often guided by numbers displayed on a screen. Ancient humans did not need to know it was exactly 6:30 in the morning. They only needed to know that dawn had arrived and the conditions were right to begin the day. Modern life demands far greater precision. A train may leave at a specific minute. A meeting may begin at a specific hour. A school day may start according to a fixed schedule, regardless of weather, season, or individual sleep needs. The alarm clock exists because modern society requires synchronization on a scale that ancient humans never experienced. Yet there is a fascinating irony hidden within this achievement. The more humans disconnected from natural rhythms, the more they needed artificial systems to replace them. The alarm clock did not solve a problem that existed throughout most of human evolution. It solved a problem created by civilization itself. When artificial light extended the day, people began staying awake later. When work schedules became standardized, people needed to wake at specific times whether their bodies were ready or not. When cities separated people from natural environmental cues, external reminders became increasingly important. The alarm clock became a substitute for signals that had once been provided freely by nature. This does not mean modern technology is bad. It simply highlights how dramatically human life has changed in a relatively short period of time. The biological clock inside your brain is far older than any clock hanging on a wall. It evolved over millions of years in partnership with sunlight, darkness, temperature, and the rhythms of the natural world. That ancient system is still operating today, even when it is competing against screens, artificial lighting, and late-night schedules. The next time your alarm wakes you in the morning, consider how unusual that experience would have seemed to your ancestors. For hundreds of thousands of years, humans managed to wake up without electronic sounds, vibrating phones, or buzzing clocks beside their beds. They relied on sunlight, environmental cues, social connections, and the remarkable biological clock built into every human body. In the vast majority of human history, that system worked well enough to help our ancestors survive, travel, hunt, raise families, and build communities. Perhaps the most surprising lesson is that humans were never designed to depend on alarm clocks. Alarm clocks were designed to compensate for a world that no longer follows the rhythms humans originally evolved to live within. And that may be why, even today, the best mornings often begin when you wake up naturally, a few moments before the alarm has a chance to ring.